Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. My word, I can see, yes, my beard needs a trim. Um, Looking very old at the minute and grey. Maybe I can play Father Christmas without dyeing my beard this year. So welcome to Rob's Roundtable, episode 5. Okay, got some good questions. I've got 7 questions to get through today. So I'm going to crack straight on. Okay, first question: do I think I'm having too much protein? No, I don't. I have said before, I consider myself to intentionally eat. Okay, I don't practice any particular diet, but if I had to boil my diet down to a single definition, I would say I am an intentional eater. I intentionally eat for what I am going to do on that given day. My diet, okay, although the skeletal framework remains the same, the amounts I have, okay, do change depending on the workout. Okay, so for example, if I'm in a deficit, okay, my protein will be increased, okay, because I'm trying to maintain, okay, as much muscle mass during that weight loss period, okay, I am in. So I would increase my protein to try and maintain it. If I'm in a surplus, if I'm trying to gain weight, then for example, now I'm in a strength phase. I'm trying to gain a little bit of weight, so therefore I've dropped my protein quite considerably down, but my carbs have gone up to put me in a surplus. So yeah, do I think I'm having too much? No, not at all. I've written an article on this, and it's due to come out in a couple of weeks. But essentially, there has been studies done on people eating in a deficit as much as 4.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight they are, which is quite a staggering amount, if I was to be honest. And most people say that's way too much. But there was massive benefits found with these individuals that did this. They maintained more muscle mass than those that didn't. They were more satiated. They were more successful in their diet, in their weight loss than the other individuals that were consuming less protein per kilogram of body weight. So I have referenced it in my article I've written, so you can have a look for yourself. Very interesting article, but essentially there was no signs of any health repercussions from doing so. They monitored them very regularly, and they were in as good as health afterwards as they was before starting that study. So no, I don't think I'm having too much protein. Question 2, is counting calories necessary for weight loss? I believe at the start, yes, it is, because most people do not understand what kind of portion size they're eating in terms of calories and other macronutrients. The most famous example, peanut butter. You've probably seen it floating around on the internet of a picture of 2 teaspoons of peanut butter. There is a very slight difference in size on one, obviously on both teaspoons of the amount of peanut butter that's on it. And although you would have to look very close up to see the difference in size of the 2 teaspoons, there's around about 100, I can't remember the exact amount, 120 odd calories more on 1 teaspoon than the other, yet you can barely see it. And that's where I just think that most people don't understand that difference. And it might only be 120 calories, but if you have a peanut butter every morning on your toast, that's 120 calories per day, 7 days a week, 31 days per month. It's a lot. It adds up to a lot. Okay, so I would certainly say yes, at the beginning, I do feel counting calories is necessary for weight loss. If you can get used to your portion sizes and maintain a deficit without counting your calories, then obviously you don't need to. And also as well, it depends how accurate you want to be. So if you're going in for a competition, then I would say counting calories, is necessary for weight loss if you're trying to reduce your weight to meet a certain weight class that you need a certain amount of body weight to enter into it. So yeah, I would say it's definitely necessary for weight loss in the beginning, and also depending how accurate you want to be. What am I investing in right now? obviously I'm not going to talk about personal investments or advise anyone on what they should invest into, but I do believe that you should invest into what you know. I myself, okay, am more familiar with the UK companies, so therefore if I do invest into individual, okay, companies, they will be on the UK Stock Exchange. Plus, as well, I'm more familiar with the accounting. I'm certainly not an accountant in any stretch of the imagination, but I'm more familiar with accounting terms and how the accounts are laid out when it comes to the UK. If I go over to look in a US company and the way they produce their accounts, there are differences, okay, in the way they're reported. So I try to stick with what I know. And plus, as well, I will say I only really invest into equities and funds. I don't invest into other asset classes. But what am I investing right now? It's the UK company. I haven't made a new investment for quite some time. I feel like I've got a good, strong portfolio. It's doing very well right now. And if I do invest, I invest into what I've already invested into. I just add more, obviously, shares in those companies, and as I say, it's doing reasonably well. So yeah, that's what I'm investing into right now: UK companies and investment funds. Question 4. I want to get rid of my muffin tops. How do I do this? Calorie deficit. Okay, it's a boring answer, but it's the only answer you're going to get. If you want to get rid of muffin tops or lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Okay, how you achieve that calorie deficit is totally up to you. If you want to do it through keto, through carnivore, through vegan, through vegetarian, it's by all means crack on. As long as you can do it, then by all means, do whatever you want to do. Just get into a deficit. That's all you need to do. Plus, as well, I will point out that you aren't just going to get rid of muffin tops. You can't isolate weight loss or weight gain, okay, on a specific part of the body. If you're going to lose muffin tops, you're going to lose weight in general, okay? If you want to get bigger biceps, you need to get bigger physique all round. You can't just get bigger in your biceps, okay? You may be able to define them slightly more, okay, by gaining or losing weight, okay, but they're not going to grow or shrink, okay, by itself. Okay, so just going to point that out there. But how do you get rid of muffin tops? Get a calorie deficit. How's that for an answer? Question 5, should I invest into bonds or shares? Great question. It depends on your risk tolerance. Okay, you need to define your risk tolerance, okay, because whether you invest into bonds or shares, okay, there are different levels of risk into those asset classes. Bonds are types of debt. You're effectively, by buying a bond, you're loaning either an institution money, okay, or the government money. Okay, so if you lend in the government money, you want to be rest assured that you're going to get your money back because it's a loan, as well as interest on that loan. How likely, okay, are the UK government, for example, going to default on that loan payment? Very unlikely. It's not impossible, but very unlikely. Okay. If let's say buying a bond from a UK company, let's just say, for example, JD Sports, okay, then how likely are they going to default? Again, very unlikely, okay, not impossible, obviously, but they are going to more likely default on their bond payment than the UK government. Okay, so obviously you need to be understanding what goes with a bond, what risks go with buying a bond, as well as shares. If you're buying, for example, let's just stick with JD Sports shares. Okay, if I'm buying JD Sports shares, the only way I'm going to make money is through dividend payments. So that's income from owning those. Do JD Sports pay a dividend? Yes, they do. How likely are they going to pay it out? Very likely. Again, not impossible they're going to retract it. They have done in the past, certainly through COVID as an example. But also as well, you're reliant, okay, on the other way you're going to make money by buying JD Sports is sell them at a higher amount that you bought them with. Is that going to happen? Maybe. I mean, it's a bit turbulent out there with the economy, but essentially that's what you're reliant on. So your risk, okay, I would say is a lot greater with shares, okay, than bonds. Okay, it's arguable, but that's the way I would think about it. So should I invest into bonds or shares? I can't possibly give you that answer, nor even if I did know your risk tolerance, would I advise you on where you should invest. But essentially understand the risks that lie, or the pros and cons that lie in investing in both asset classes, and then make your mind off the back of that. Question 6, what's my biggest regret? Okay, these next two questions had me stumped, I have to say. I try to, every single week, believe it or not, guys, I try to not answer these questions or have a preconceived answer, okay, before I record the answers for you guys, because I want to have it as off the cuff as much as possible. But these two, I have to say, I'm not going to lie, I did have to think about these. So what's my biggest regret? Well, I'm not a person that regrets an awful lot. Not because obviously I haven't made mistakes. I've made plenty. But everything I've done, I believe I have learned from that mistake. And also as well, it's led me to where I am today, and I'm happy where I am. I've got a fantastic life. I'm very happy with where I am in every aspect. It's not perfect, but I'm happy. And if I look back at those mistakes, if I hadn't have made those mistakes, would that have led me to a different path? Possibly. So although I've made mistakes, I wouldn't necessarily change them. Okay, that's a boring answer, but let me just give you some things that I would change if I knew I would still be where I am today. Okay, even if I would have changed them. So I suppose one of the biggest things is I would have travelled more. I would definitely should have travelled a lot more. I had plenty of opportunity, but I just didn't want to spend the money. It's quite tight. And so, yeah, I would like to have travelled more. Some of the best things I've ever done, if I think back to the best memories I have, is being on holiday with the wife and my kid, or even holidays before my kid arrived. They were experiences, and to think that I've missed potential experiences is quite gutting. But there we go. That's one thing I would, as I say, like to have done more of if I could still be where I am today. Definitely spend more time with my dad. I suppose everyone gets this when they lose a loved one. They look back and think, where could I have seen them more? I really wish I would have seen them a lot more. So I would have certainly have done that. I suppose, considering the gym is such a big part of my life, I can't help but think back to things that I could have done better in the gym. And I think the best, I suppose the biggest thing that I really wish I could change is train without an ego. And that's very hard to tell a 20-year-old to lose their ego. But when I think back to how some of the sessions I had were just plain stupid, and shouldn't have done some of the things I did in those workouts. I'm paying for it today, if I was to be honest, because some of my joints, I've got tendonitis in both elbows. I've worn away some of the tendon in my left elbow, and obviously I'm never going to get those back in terms of good quality joints, elbows. So yeah, I think if I could change anything, those would be the things I would change, as long as it wouldn't have led me to a different life I have now. So yeah. What's the best advice I've ever received? This one stumped me the most, okay? Because I've received very good advice through the years. And again, it's hard to quantify the power of that advice, because I've received advice in different areas. For example, I suppose from a training side is know your body. I remember hearing that God knows how many years ago, And I wrote an article on it, and you can read it, go on my site. It's the answer to most things when it comes to health and fitness is know your body. You know, there's so much science into certain things in fitness and diet and nutrition, but at the end of the day, it's what works in that research, okay, that study, doesn't mean to say it's going to work for you. So you need to know your body, and by all means, read this science study. Just because it didn't work, it doesn't mean to say you shouldn't read it and learn from it. But essentially, you are your own scientific experiment, and I've got to know my body over the last 4 years more than I think the rest of my life put together. And that's because I tried a lot of different things and took note of how my body responded. And now, right now, I feel I'm in full control of my body in every aspect of health and fitness. I really do. Do I get it perfect? No, absolutely not. But I do feel I can change things in my diet, for example, of how it's responded in the past to those changes. Training, if I go into a strength block, what do I need to do to get as strong as possible in terms of, obviously, I need to increase my recovery. I need to, do more compound lifts, but what compound lifts work for me? I already know those, or what I believe I know those. It's not to say that I wouldn't try new things, but I already know offhand, okay, what could potentially work as a starting block. In terms of diet, enjoy your food, okay? It doesn't make a difference if you're going into a deficit, surplus, okay? You need to enjoy it. I've got a skeletal kind of diet plan of foods that I like, and whether I increase it, decrease it, or keep it the same, okay? I eat the same foods, I just eat less, more, or the same amount. I know I like those foods. I just play around with different recipes with those foods, and it doesn't matter to me whether, as I say, I'm trying to lose weight, put on weight, or keep it the same. I love my diet, I really do. So I learned from trial and error and took note of the foods I do enjoy having, and also as well the foods that satiate me the most. If I want to increase, for example, let's just say I want to lose weight and obviously keep more full, I would increase, for example, the amount of berries I have. Powerhouses in terms of micronutrients, but also very satiating with very little calories to the amount you would have. So those type of things. Eat more beef, low fat beef. Keep me more satiated, maybe fast in the mornings and then increase my calories at night. To kind of, if you're in a diet, you might get some cravings. I get my cravings in the evenings, so therefore that's where I would concentrate most of my calories in that day. If I was in a weight loss phase, it's just things like that. Okay, that the advice really helped me to get to know my body. Investing, stick with what you know. I've already said that's how I invest, and that's what I believe. I got that. Obviously, it wasn't directed at me, but Warren Buffett, okay, always recommends sticking with what you know when it comes to investing. You know how something works. You know the risks of that particular investment. So that's what I would say there. Best advice, I mean, for example, in terms of life, is enjoy every moment. That's a really good one. You never know whether you're going to get that moment again, so enjoy every single moment you have, because it might be the last one you have in that particular area. If you're on holiday, for example, you don't know whether you're ever going to get the chance to go back to that particular place, so enjoy it, embrace it, take in your surroundings, be more present. All those types of advice is what I think have been great in terms of kind of life advice, if you like. Okay. So guys, that was all the questions I had. Hopefully I've answered them to your satisfaction. Thank you very much for listening, and keep them coming, guys. I'm absolutely loving these. So as I say, I really do try and keep them off the cuff as much as possible, but when it comes to the last two questions, can't help but think back to your biggest regrets, or if you have any regrets on or best advice you've received. Yeah, it really threw me for a loop there, and I really had to think back to be able to answer them. So yeah, thanks very much whoever sent in those questions. And guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see each other very soon again. Okay, take care, all the best. Have a good one.